a lot of you asked about the counterexample to evidentialism and the notion of well-foundedness. And so I want to review the counterexample again because some of you asked about how exactly that goes. And then I wanted to bring up some of your questions. I'm not sure I'll be able to answer many of them, but I'll bring them up and we might be able to talk more about them on Wednesday. So here's the example again. I have the following beliefs. I believe that Fred is an elephant, and I believe that if Fred is an elephant, then Rufus is a hippopotamus. Later, I come to believe that Rufus is a hippopotamus, but not because I infer it from these other beliefs from which it follows, but rather because I just like the sound of the sentence, Rufus is a hippopotamus. I say, I'm going to believe that. Now, this is an objection to evidentialism because evidentialism says my belief is justified. Why? Because my evidence supports my belief. My other beliefs about Fred being an elephant, and if Fred is an elephant, then Rufus is a hippopotamus, those support the belief. Those make it the belief that Rufus is a hippopotamus, the one for me to have. And I do have that belief. So evidentialism says I'm justified, that belief is justified. But intuitively, that's not right. Intuitively, my belief that Rufus is a hippopotamus is unjustified. That's at least what many people think. And this is because I don't form the belief on the basis of that evidence. I form it just because I like the sound of it. That's not a way, it doesn't seem, to have a justified belief. So Connie and Feldman, this is an objection because our intuition does not, about whether a belief is justified, does not match what the theory says. Connie and Feldman maintain that the belief is justified, my belief that Rufus is a hippopotamus. They think it is justified, as evidentialism says. But they introduce this other notion, well-foundedness, which requires a belief to be formed on the basis of my evidence, if my belief is justified, or if my belief is to be well-founded. So they have these two separate notions. They have justification and they have well-foundedness. Well-foundedness is just like justification, except it requires that the belief, in order to be well-founded, in addition to being justified, is formed on the basis of the evidence the believer has. And so when they give their response, they're saying, you know what, evidentialism's right. My belief that Rufus is a hippopotamus is justified. But the reason we think that's incorrect is because we're focusing really on whether it's well-founded or not. And it is not well-founded. So they're using this other notion, well-foundedness, to explain our intuition that the belief's unjustified. Really, they say that intuition is not about whether it's justified or not. It's about whether it's well-founded or not. Many of you did not like this response, so I got all sorts of questions. Some of you asked, look, are they just changing the topic? Or maybe they're changing the meaning of justification? Maybe that's what they're doing in this response. Some of you said something which I think others have thought before in the literature. Why not just build the conditions of well-foundedness into justification? Why not just think well-foundedness really just is? Like what they call well-foundedness really is the true meaning of justification. And others of you sort of said, look, if they're right that there are these two notions, it looks like well-foundedness is the one we care about because it's the one that we think about when we positively evaluate a belief. It might be the one that connects nicely to things like knowledge. Surely we don't want to say my belief that Rufus is an elephant is knowledge. Rufus is a hippopotamus is knowledge. We might only want to say it's knowledge if it's well-founded. And so these are sort of very similar suggestions. Shouldn't we just think justification is well-foundedness? Aren't they just changing the topic? Maybe if there really are these two notions here, maybe we should really be caring about well-foundedness, not justification. I think these are all great questions and great points. Kind of like getting at what might be an issue with their response from different perspectives. Now, I'm not going to try to defend their response here. I think going further into this is more a matter that we can discuss and argue about on Wednesday, because I don't think there are clear answers here, but I think it is worth talking about, or it was worth me reviewing the example and trying to get out some of your thoughts about how well-foundedness and justification seem to be being used and how they might be misused by Connie and Feldman.